divorced from physical focus, you are in a better position to hear the speakers, to translate their instructions, to practice with the creation of images, and to be guided in the methods of maintaining the health of the physical body. In the most protected areas of sleep, the apparent barriers between many layers of reality vanish. You are aware, for example, of some probable realities. You choose which probable acts you want to actualize in your system. You follow other probable acts through in the dream state. You do this individually, but you also do it en masse on national and global levels. Consciousness, at different levels or stages, perceives different kinds of events. In order to perceive some of these, you have only to learn to change the focus of your attention from one level to another. There are minute chemical and electromagnetic alterations that accompany these stages of consciousness, and certain physical changes within the body itself, in hormone production and pineal activity. You usually glide from wakefulness through sleep without ever noticing the various conditions of consciousness through which you pass. Yet, there are several. First, of course, with various degrees of spontaneity, there is the inward turn of consciousness away from physical data, from worries, and concerns of the day. Then, there is an undifferentiated level between wakefulness and sleep where you act as a receiver, passive but open, in which telepathic and clairvoyant messages come to you quite easily. Your consciousness can seem to float. There are varying physical sensations, sometimes of growing large, sometimes of falling. Both sensations are characteristic of moments in which you almost catch yourself, almost become aware of this undifferentiated area, and then translate some of its experiences into physical terms. The sensation of largeness, for example, is a physical interpretation of the psychic expansion. The feeling of falling is an interpretation of a sudden return of consciousness to the body. This period can last for only a few moments, for half an hour, or can be returned to. It is a cushioning, supportive, and expansive stage of consciousness. Suggestions given during this time are highly effective. Following this period, there is an active state that can occur of pseudo-dreaming, where the mind busies itself with physical concerns that have managed to cling through the first two stages. If these are too vigorous, the individual may awaken. This is a vivid, intense, but usually brief stage. Another undifferentiated layer follows, this time marked quite definitely by voices, conversations, or images, as consciousness tunes in more firmly to other communications. Several of these may compete for the individual's attention. At this point, the body is fairly quiet. The individual will follow one or another of these inner stimuli to a deeper level of consciousness and form into light dreams the communications he is receiving. Somewhere during this time, he will go into a deeply protected area of sleep, where he is at the threshold to other layers of reality and probabilities. At this point, his experiences will be out of all context to time as you know it. He may experience years, though only minutes have passed. He will then return towards physical reality in an area marked as REM sleep by your scientists, where physically oriented dream productions will be created, putting the knowledge he has gained into use. The cycle would then be repeated. Almost the same kinds of fluctuations and stages occur even when you are waking, however, though you are less aware of them, because then the egotistical self acts quite purposely to blanket out these other areas of experience. The precise stages are present beneath waking awareness, however, and with the same chemical, electromagnetic, and hormonal fluctuations. You are simply not aware of what your consciousness is doing. You cannot keep yourselves track of it for 5 full moments of your time. The dimensions of it can only be sensed by those determined enough to take the time and effort required to journey through their own subjective realities. Yet, intuitively, each individual knows that a part of his experience escapes from him all the time. When you suddenly cannot remember a name you should know, you have in essence the same kind of feeling of which you are always subconsciously aware. Into part 7 of chapter 17 of Seth Speaks, the eternal validity of the soul. Let's talk about it. In this passage, Seth is conveying the idea that during certain stages of consciousness, especially in the transition from wakefulness to sleep, individuals can tap into different layers of reality and receive information or experiences from these realms. These stages involve turning away from physical concerns, acting as a receiver for telepathic and clairvoyant messages, experiencing sensations like growing large or falling, and entering an undifferentiated area where voices, conversations, and images are perceived. This eventually leads to a deeply protected area of sleep where time becomes distorted, and individuals gain knowledge that can be applied in physical reality during REM sleep. If you've enjoyed this passage, please consider giving it a like, subscribing for more, and of course, sharing with your friends. See what they think about Seth Speaks. What did you think about the discussion today? Please leave it in the comments below. And as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'm Tony Victory, a wolf uncaged. Thank you.